Hi, we are Quidco, and this is our marketing plan to bring a Christian university to the UK. This is prepared by me, Aaron Albert, James McCarty, Sophia Horta, Hannah Plew, and Becca Aldridge. Getting right into it, a little bit of our marketing plan goes into our first phase, which is ambassador groups. So in this first phase, we want to send out ambassador groups to the UK, going all throughout the country. And essentially, this is to bring brand awareness and brand value into the minds of our target market. Our target market for our university will eventually be those 18 to 22-year-olds. And we want to make sure that they know about our brand before just starting a university right from the start. So while these ambassador groups, similar to the ambassador groups that we have here running around the United States and such, they will also be gathering market research for the future university implementation as well. Going into, or essentially these ambassador groups will be providing information to Christian schools and Christian high schools to advertise the upcoming gap year program, which you can see is phase 2. This gap year program will essentially be a bridge program to increase brand awareness, like I just mentioned, to the university. That's going to be coming in the years to come. So BJU is a new concept essentially in the UK, and a biblical worldview education is also a new concept. So to combat this, we have this bridge program, which will be the gap year program, put in place before a university can be fully fledged into that market. So we want to focus on STEM and business majors in the study abroad for UK students, because they are two of the largest majors in the UK for university students. So they will come over from the UK to our Greenville, South Carolina location, and there is future integration in the years to come to incorporate other majors as well. Essentially, this will take place between the A-level courses and the university courses, and that's where the gap year title comes from. It'll take place right between those two levels. And then students will also take a mix of BJU core classes and major classes with that biblical worldview here at our Greenville location to get a well-rounded view of what a liberal arts education can look like, since that's also a new concept in the UK market. And they'll take classes at like freshman, sophomore level at Bob Jones. Jumping into our third phase, we want to partner with a ministry-focused college there in the UK. So this is another bridge to lead to the university, as you can see in phase 4. So this is utilizing facilities and the programs that current Bible schools in the UK already have in place, so that they are ready to, so that we can use their facilities to create these business and STEM courses there actually in the UK. So in the second phase of this is students coming to the States to do this education, and then we're going to be moving those courses to the UK itself by utilizing those ministry-focused colleges. In phase 4, we're going to actually implement a Christian university. So this will take a few years of building up the BJU brand, building up the concept of a Christian university in the UK. And so that's why it's going to take about 7 years is our projection to build up that brand before we actually implement it. Whenever we get to the actual implementation phase, we want to provide a higher education option with a biblical worldview for Christian students in the UK. That is the overarching goal. And then essentially, this meets the need of the UK market, because they don't have any Christian education, higher education options there at the moment. And so this will be entering this new idea into the minds of the students in the UK. Then going into a SWOT analysis. So some of the strengths of this will be academic excellence. That's something that we, as Bob Jones here in the States, really emphasize. Also, a strong business program is what we currently have, which we can provide, especially in the gap year program, and then implement it later into the partnering with ministries over there, ministry colleges over there. We also have very dedicated and invested professors. Over and over again, we hear in our classes here just how dedicated these professors are. And so that's a huge strength to our school. We also have a very low teacher to student ratio, and that's something we want to incorporate over there as well. And just being able to maintain that academic excellence, because students have the opportunity to learn from teachers directly with that face-to-face communication, rather than it being like huge lecture classes that they can't get a lot of that instant feedback. We also have an international base currently, and then we have a very unique liberal arts emphasis, which a lot of schools in the US don't yet have. And so also breaking this idea into the UK market can be a great opportunity, which we'll see later. We also have an extensive alumni network that can overflow into the UK market. Some weaknesses, financial limitations, that's an obvious one. I don't have to spend too much time on that. Also, we are seeing a decrease in our student population right now. A lot of that has to do with our presidential search. And so we could see a future increase soon. With that, like I just said, with the presidential search right now, there has been a leadership instability, but we are seeing a projection of stability coming soon with the announcement to come with the president. We also have a lot of student life and required events that are that might have brought negative PR and reputation to to the school. However, this is something that we can improve on whenever we actually do implement into the UK market. Currently, we don't have any market entry into any international fields, so this would be the first time, which can also be a great opportunity. So moving right into those opportunities, we also are seeing a very stable economy in the market. And that stable economy will be a great opportunity for us to get involved before it might turn turbulent later. We also have Christian curriculum currently here at BJU, and so there's an opportunity later on down the road to implement BJU press materials in the UK market. There's also a large number of prospective students in the UK market that we can just really market to. Then finally, going into some of those threats, we have the general unreceptive market. So a lot of people in the UK are not Christian and very adverse to Christianity. So it can be that will be a challenge that we'll have to overcome implementing into that market. Like I said, there's also currently not a market for liberal arts universities since that's a new concept. And then there's a very different educational structure when you move, especially incorporating the A-level courses right after high school and kind of a shortened high school experience. It's a lot different than the US system, and so that will just be a challenge for the future. Also going into that, there's a strict cultural requirement, so that will just be something that we'll have to overcome. And there's also many top universities in the UK, so it will just be a high threat to the competition in general. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Sophia, and she's going to talk about the product.
So the UK system provides many different degrees, and there is no evidence of liberal arts education without studying liberal arts as your chosen degree. So although A-level courses give it a deeper level of a few subject areas, they do not offer a full, well-rounded liberal arts education. So this is why we want to implement a Christian university into the UK. So James, would you want to talk about the promotional mix?
Yeah, so as you can see, as you heard Aaron talking about the product itself. Sorry, trying to find it real quick. Aaron talked about the product and the different phases within the marketing plan. We're going to talk about more specifically the advertising for each phase. So this ambassador program will run through the whole plan. It will all 9 years or so, and it'll have the ambassador program traveling around with info cards, Instagram and Facebook ads, email marketing coming from those connections made, church youth group t-shirt giveaways. Jump into phase 2, we'll see the gap year ambassador program. As you can see, will continue on. Same with the Instagram and Facebook ads. We'll start our search engine optimization, just getting more clicks on our website. Email marketing will also continue, and then creating a personalized BJU.UK website as we have students coming over to the US to study abroad. In our third phase, you have the seminary partnerships. We have worldview conferences here, and we'll partner with seminaries over there to do similar things, which I think those will do very well over there. We will also have guest speakers in seminary facilities. And then jumping to phase 4, when we have a fully established university over there, the previous promotions will continue except for the seminary partnership, as we will now have our own university, own building, and a BJU UK, as they say. And then we'll have college up close, U-Day and summer camps, bring some of the admirable things that our campus does to attract guests, and bring that over to the UK. And lastly, we'll have small business networking events, just connecting with small businesses and letting our students connect with them, creating better connections. Phase 4, we're talking about university. This is down the road, but we have there is one option for a potential location for that. As you can see on the map, this is in Belfast, Northern Ireland. It's about, I think, 20 minutes from the Belfast International Airport, and it's right downtown in Belfast, so easy for our students to find housing. As you can see, there's a picture of the office space there. There's classroom, and you can see we previewed a little bit as you can see Dr. Dunn teaching an online class, preparing for students. This office space is 7,000 square feet, and it is accepting offers over $1 million only. So that is not too high priced, especially downtown Belfast. It's a great location. As we go, you can see the outside of the building. We have tested out with the crest a little bit, and once again, you can see Dr. Dunn popping your head out the window just to say hey on the left side or right side over there. This monthly, and then if you break it down with $100,000 down, and then a monthly mortgage of $4,600 with a 30-year loan, it'll be about $4,600. So you'll see that a little bit, and that ties us into our pro forma. So jumping into this, you can see our past years of 2020, 2021, and 2022 through 2023 are our past years. 2024, we don't have the results for, so that is when our pro forma kicks in. That is with a 9% year-over-year revenue. That's been the average over the past couple of years. And then our expenses are actually on 8% year-over-year growth. So you see the growth there in 2024. That's before we start our program, our marketing plan. And so jumping down to phase 1, you see that there's no revenue that comes in phase 1 ultimately, but there are expenses in the form of the ambassadors. And then with that, we'd hire a part-time marketer. And then for advertising such as SEO, there is an increase there. Switch over here. Yep. Phase 2, those costs will be similar with ambassador and advisor, but we will have revenue from our gap year. We'll have about 10 gap year students coming over from the UK, and that's about $15,000 a month, or 50, not a month, a year. And so that'll be collectively $150,000. And so you can see those increases. You see that in phase two. The revenue increases because in 2027, we expect to have 15 students, and then in 2028, we expect to have 25 students overseas. So jump into phase three, we have the partnering with seminaries, and we have 40 students who come in from that, and that is $10,000 each. That is it's above the limit for a public university, but for a private university, it's fairly low priced, which will benefit students. And then the expenses in that phase three between 2029 and 2031 is really the teachers. The average salary over there is $42,000 for a teacher, for a professor, and so we'll have 3 teachers our first 2 years, and then add a 4th teacher, and that'll keep our teacher ratio between 12% and 20%. Expected sales in those years, you can see in the gap year, the first year of the gap year in 2026, $150,000. You can see those numbers jumping into phase three, a little bit more complicated. So we have the gap year going on, and also a seminary, and so the sales for that are $625,000 in 2029. Phase four is when we expect to have a university on the ground. So with that build up, the momentum, the students coming in, we expect to have 100 students at a $10,000 a year price, which is $1 million in revenue. And so for our total expected sales for our marketing plan, we have $3.2 million there. And so our pro forma, our net income in the long term is $36 million, which is more than it would be if we did not do this marketing plan. Moving on to the marketing audit, back to Sophia.
So for the marketing audit, the summary is that Quidco is motivated to innovate a first-of-a-kind Christian liberal arts university located in Northern Ireland. And this advantage is that there are no other things like it in the UK. There are seminaries and there are Christian colleges, but there are not colleges, there aren't universities that teach subjects through a Christian worldview. So compatibility with the market. So religiously, the UK has a strong Christian heritage, and Christianity is the official religion, although most would not identify as followers of Christ. So educationally, however, the UK emphasizes education and has a large student population. So there is potential for a new American-based and Christ-centered education. So these are some of the competitors in the region. So as you can see the list, I'll just go ahead and name them. So the Queen's University in Belfast, University College of Dublin, Trinity College in Dublin, University of Limerick, and University of Bristol. So our advantage, so the relative advantage is that since there are no other Christian liberal arts universities in the UK, we provide an advantage of being the first Christian school to provide majors which separate us from other seminaries in the UK. And the market advantage is that since we are a Christian liberal arts university, it's relatively unheard of in the UK, making the market for it small and the product itself less compatible than other types of universities. So usually if there are no products or services in a particular market, it's due to lack of demand for that product or service. And due to these factors, we decided to go ahead with a gap year education program to bring students to the Greenville campus and then partner with seminaries to help bridge those entry barriers. So then, as James talked about, so location reasoning is mostly because Ireland has a hotbed for technological advances and innovation, and much of this progress can be attributed to the role played by Irish universities. So there are Christian colleges and seminaries, but there's not a university that teaches a vast variety of majors for the Christian worldview. So now Becca is going to talk about the economic analysis.
So going to the economic analysis, the UK has a different advantage in that they are very technologically advanced, a bit higher than most other areas in the world. And so this gives them the opportunity to be a great sector for us to innovate in the world, especially in Ireland. As Sophia talked about, some of those other colleges, they have a lot of advantages technologically as well, and are named some of the top colleges in the world because of those advantages. So let's just go through a little bit of the demographics. As far as demographics, the population in the UK totals to be about 68 million people, and it increases about 0.3% every year. And there's about 100 females for every 98 males, but for under the age of 34, there's actually more males than females, which is something that we should know as we're targeting people between the ages of 15 and about 24. And talking about our target market, we've comprised this based on the number of people in Baptist, Presbyterian, and Methodist churches. We took the average number count for these churches, added it up, and we figured that over 8 years, we could visit about 750 churches with our ambassador program. And so that would calculate to be about 149,600 people in our target market, so close to 150,000 people. 82% of residents live in the suburbs, which is great for our ambassador program as it would make it a lot easier for them to reach. And only 17% of these people in the UK live in rural areas. As far as the GDP, they're in the 2 trillions, and that rate is growing at about 0.06 as of 2023. They have large contributions to this, about 80%, and that contrasts with only 20% of it being in industries such as manufacturing, mining, construction, and other things. A lot of this is attributed to their proprietary businesses, and 30% are publicly traded businesses, and 7% are partnerships. So the majority of their businesses in the UK are proprietary. As far as their research and development, they spend a lot of money in the UK, which is a great advantage for us as well as we infiltrate. They've invested about $30 billion dollars in technological research and development, and this continues to rise. They've become they've become the top third country in the world under technology, and they invest about $1 trillion, which sets them above many other countries in the world. They have a disposable income averagely of about 32,000 pounds per year, which goes to show that they have a lot of expendable income. And as far as their communication, they are above the rest and well known for it. Only about 2.2% of their population is disconnected, which goes to show they have great advantage in this area. And again, they are really invested in foreign trade and are set apart in these areas as well. As far as media, they have an average of spending between 10 and 20% of their annual income on marketing. And this is a really high priority for them. Each marketing campaign is usually outsourced to marketers in the countries, and they spend between $6,000 and $10,000 per campaign, which goes to show their priority in this area. Now Hannah's going to talk about the cultural analysis.
All right, so one of the most foundational aspects of planning our market plan was figuring out the culture of our target market, and this played a big role, especially in where we wanted to send our ambassador groups, and especially where we wanted to implement eventually a university. So this basically focuses on 16 to 24-year-old Christians in the UK, and then eventually narrow it down to Northern Ireland. There's a lot of similarities between the culture here in the US and in the UK, and specifically in Ireland, there's a lot of value in education, and in England as well. So a lot of the promising cultural aspects are that this UK has a very strong Christian heritage. Christianity is the official religion, although a lot would not identify as Christians, but it is very saturated with that knowledge of the religion. It's and education is really heavily emphasized, and there's a large student population in the UK. Some cultural challenges that we might face implementing a university, eventually university, and also the other steps before it, is that the UK has a lot of reputable and established universities. Again, we've already talked about this in the SWOT analysis and that before, so I won't beat that too hard. And then the UK offers shorter degree programs than we do at Bob Jones. So you would have to either condense the curriculum or really overcompensate in that area. And then finally, the UK is being more secularized as the years go by. So Christianity does remain influential, but the population is growing more secular, and there's not really any room in college for university for religion. All right, so onto the view of family in the UK. The number of families has increased in the UK by 1 million since the start of the decade, increasing that to 19.4 million. Married and partner families make up 66% of this. Family dynamics have changed recently because there's a lot more secularization in the UK, but typically young people live with their parents and their families until they leave for university, and they're kind of on their own after that. So that's kind of where we see them after university time. For Northern Ireland specifically, though, where we're choosing to implement our university, the nuclear family unit plays a major role because there's a lot of the Protestant religion is really saturated there. The traditional family structure is still the norm. There's an increase in alternative household arrangements. There's a lot of Catholic and Protestant influence there, so culture is very respectful of the need for the nuclear family. Education culture in the UK, we don't need to stress this more. Education is very emphasized in the UK. There are so many universities there, and it's a superpower of higher education. It takes pride in its prestigious universities and quality education. And high school focuses primarily on preparing students for university. So secondary education is geared toward these career goals. And then we see here Hofstede's insights, which we talked about before in class, just kind of comparing the UK and the US culturally. All right, finally to religion in the UK. The most prominent religions in the UK are Christianity at 46%. This does include Catholicism and other things that we wouldn't normally stand for, but it's included in that number. Muslims at 6.5, Hindu at 1.7, and 37% of the population claim to have no religious affiliation. The UK is prominently Christian, but there's a lot of myriads and sects of Christianity in that, like I said before. And then marketing in the UK emphasizes customer engagement, which is why we've implemented so many different marketing styles in our phases. It's really focused on tailoring websites to individual consumer experience. It's really focused on increasing online traffic, especially since COVID-19. And we can really take advantage of this in social media apps and targeting the younger generation. And we've already talked about that before. And that is our plan. So thank you for listening.